and then I add my lime, 1 part lime. Now, if we're going to do a lot of this today, I'm going to throw all that powdered lime right in a tray. That's going to make it easier to just scoop it up and go instead of trying to get into the bag and pour the bag out. I'm the laziest guy you're ever going to work with. So now we need to hold the pail in place. It's not smart to be standing on top of your pail trying to mix, or you end up with the injury or tipping off, or you have that old weakened pail that you've used for so long it's been dried out, or you've been cutting into the sides of it and you're going to have an accident. So the easiest way, cheapest way, is take a rag, put it through the handle, and stand on the rag. Or you can make up your own holding device, or buy one for $45 off the internet. Now I can put my feet here and it's not going to move, or I can put my foot here and it's not going to move out of my way. So this pail, if you've ever lifted a pail by the handle and it's been around for a while and it weighs 65 pounds, quite often you're going to be wearing it again because it breaks off. So this is another internet device of just a strap that's bolted to the side. I'll put a hook on here and then hoist it up on the scaffold, and it keeps everything contained. If I drop it on the ground hard, it's not going to split the sides out. I can also reinforce it with the tape like I did with my mixing pail. Another way of doing it is buying your conventional strap. I don't like this one as much because it ends up getting trashed, and this is a brand new one. But again, you put the strap on the floor, and if it grabs tight enough, then you can mix without spinning yourself dizzy. If you remember in the first video, we like to dry mix first. We specifically like to dry mix so that we get a good blend. But let's talk about the mixer. This one is a cast mixer with a bulb on the end, so I don't wear the bottom of the pail out. This is a great one, but that also means I'm probably going to have unmixed material on the bottom. It's shaped vanes, so it's pulling it and pulling it and pushing it and pushing it in both directions, so it's getting a really good mix with minimal RPMs. For some reason, my guys love this kind. All it does is beat it, so you're having to really whip it around in a direction, and if you're using a drier mix, it doesn't do well of mixing your material. A really wet mix is good. This is okay in it, but again, it's slower, and you don't worry about cutting into the sides of your pail with all these rounded edges, but they do slowly sharpen. And then this one does a great job mixing, but you need a wetter mix for it. So the mixer head I'm using today is for a drier mix. If I want to make it wetter, that's not a problem, but I might have unmixed material in the bottom. So if you remember from the first video, we want to dry mix first if we can. And I've got some relatively dry sand here. But it's still pretty hard to get down to the bottom of the pail. So I use the edge of the blade to slowly dig down and try to get some pre-mixing taken care of. So now we add some water. And again, if you remember from the first video, I never pay attention. If I put too much in it, you remember what I was supposed to do to get it back without screwing up the mix itself. A little bit about this mixing motor. This is a Milwaukee, it's been around forever. And my stable. It has 2 speeds. I'm on slow. If you're on high, you're going to be wearing a lot of this. Let's see if I can get some on me. Now it's trying to work its way right out of the pail by going so quick. I don't need to be in a hurry. So I put it back on slow. And now I'm more in control of what I'm trying to do here. I work it up the tail to make sure I get everything off the outside. And I also have a reverse switch over here. So if I have fibers in here and they're getting clogged up, I occasionally put it on reverse and spin them off. But fibers, remember from the first, is the last thing you do. Why would I use fibers? Because it increases the tensile strength of the mortar. If I'm doing stucco work, if I'm doing plaster work, you always put fibers in the each the first. Pretty well mixed here. I'm liking what we've got. So now this is slowly going to get filled with crap all day long, slowly going to dry. We can clean it off like this. Well, it got kind of clean, but remember the scrubbing brushes, the little bristles on a sponge to give you some abrasive aggressive action? This is pea stone, not sand. Not sand mixed with pea stone. Put it in reverse. Notice the difference? I'm lazy. I could sit here with a scrub brush after every batch, or I could do this. If I put enough in here, I can even just leave it sitting here. Don't have to set it on the ground if I'm worried about staining anything. So basically that's it. So we did the addition of how to do it by hand, but now we're more in a mass production mode. That's subtraction. We know the addition, we've learned how to do it, we've learned all the nuances, so now it's quicker for me to teach you how to do it out of a pail and what some of the drawbacks are out of a pail. Equipment cost, damaging the pails, how to lift and move the pail. Again, if you've done a lot of this, you understand this. You don't want to be lifting from the handle. How often have you picked up a pail? And again, with pails, if you go to the big box store or the big catalog store, they cost $5 a piece. Go find a drywaller somewhere, and he's throwing all these pails out. Clean them out, and you have a heavy-duty pail, because the people, USG, that are making this mud for you, they don't want it to be in shipping or any place else all over the bottom of the truck or all the bottom of your pickup truck. So get a heavy-duty pail. You want to screw with the poor guys, trade them a new pail for an old pail, but get the heavy-duty pails you're not seeing daylight through. And remember, I'm scratching the sides off of this every time I mix, so the pail is becoming thinner and thinner and thinner. If the edges start to sharpen on this, you'll see shards, in this case, of orange material in your mortar. That's telling you it's time to change heads or dull your head, or just switch out to a different mixing head or a newer one. So when I pour this out today, I'll be pouring it on our mud board, and that's when we see the difference of did I get all the mixing done at the bottom. A lot of people want to just pull it out of the pail and use it. When I get to the bottom, is that when I'm going to find out, ooh, it's a bad mix? It's going to change colors when I finally get the sand that was never mixed well in the bottom out mixed into it. So I'm going to be changing colors and adding tremendous weakness, because if the lime is not blended in right, then I'm just laying sand and water. So I always recommend that you dump it out. Evaluate your mix, and as a mason, we prefer to be working off a board than scooping out of a pail. This is a big box store, curved, it's called a pail scoop, so it really cleans the side of your pail every time you pull it out. I love this kind. This kind here, cut at a slight angle, is an old trowel that when I put it to the bottom, it's laying flat, and I can scrape the sides. And of course, if you go to the antique store, you can get these for $1 instead of $15 a piece, and cut them off yourself. But everything is for your own hand size. Okay, now I'm going to dump it on here and we're going to see what we have.